Say it again?
Why are you not here with us? We want you to be here.
Well, I haven't been all here in a long time, so. 75 years old, and it's dangerous now in my own country for me to go anywhere, so I stay home and stay out of the way, because I've traveled all over the world and did the best I could, and so now I find it to be safer just to stay home and stay out of the way, because all the things that I've been warning about for the last 55 years are now finally here, and I'm really not up to it. So I just stay home and stay out of the way. I'm too old and too tired to fight anymore. Only thing I have to give to the world is knowledge. Advice, I don't really have a whole lot, but I do the best I can. I do radio shows, and I don't do a whole lot of them either. Hold on just a minute. I do radio shows on occasions now, but not a whole lot. And I thought at one time I would like to do my own show, and I have a podcast, but I haven't been able to do much on that for a long time now, because I'm being attacked from all sides by people who do not want me talking, and I understand. I don't have any problem with that. But so I do the best I can. But this is kind of a novel idea that we came up with for me to do a show from remote. I've done a lot of Skype radio, but I've never done an actual lecture or talk before an audience doing it this way. But it's going to have to be done this way, because I will never be able to speak before a live audience again. I won't be able to do that ever again. The reason why is because it's very dangerous now. I live in a very dangerous time for my life, so I need to be very careful where I go and what I do anymore, because for me it's very dangerous now. It has become a very dangerous world for me to live in. I know too much. And when you know too much, you can cause yourself trouble by talking too much. So,
well, Jordan, anyway, we're glad you're here in this capacity, brother. Let's get into the gist and the bulk of your conversation today, if you will. I know you have some stuff prepared. I know you have some research that you really want to clue us into. Let's just get right into it.
Well, again, you have to appreciate the fact that I am under pressure as to what I can say in public anymore. Used to, many years ago, I could talk very freely, but not anymore. So the question has come up a long time ago in my mind. How important is it to tell people the truth? Excuse me. Think about that. How important is it to tell people the truth? And the reason I bring that up is because today, as I said, it's become very, very difficult to tell people the truth, because first of all, most people don't want to know the truth, and most people can't handle the truth, like the movie, and so all I can say, and all I would like for the audience to know, I don't care how you accept what I say. I don't care even if you do accept what I say. I don't care how you feel about what I say. That's one of the nice things about being 75 years old. I just will tell you what I think, whether it offends you or not. But I feel that people are not interested in knowing the truth about much of anything until trouble comes. And when trouble comes, now people want to have answers. But that's not the way it works in life. You have to prepare yourself for what the future holds. And so, but what I would say, the bottom line on this is that everything we have been taught is just not true. America is the most well-informed, highly advanced, well-informed country in the world. The only problem is 99% of what we know is not true. But we, but thank God we do have, one thing we got going for us is that we do have computers that can think for themselves, which is great because the people can't. So, and the whole nation can't think for itself. And so, while we're very proud in America to say that we have the right to elect our leaders, the problem is you can't select your leaders. You can only elect. And so, break down the words. I mean, my God, we could talk for days on these different subjects I've talked about. Words. We humans, there have been books written about this. We humans are word controlled. We're controlled by words. And so we need to look at the etymology and the beginnings of ideas, concepts of words, and where they come from, what these words mean. My God, probably everybody in the audience has heard me talking about this subject. And so that's another thing I have to deal with, is I don't want to go over stuff that I've talked about that people have heard. But there are certain subjects which are very important, and I don't mind repeating them because they're so important. And words are very important to how we respond to each other, how we respond to government, banking, and everything else. So I've just suggested that people should be aware that the whole world is being misled with words and terms. And so I don't know where to go with this, because I don't want to sound like a grumpy old man, though that's what I am.
It's too late.
But I don't want to sound despondent, but that I am, because I realize and I know that the people are hurting around the world. But I came across some interesting ideas and interesting concepts that I wanted to share with you. Machiavelli, in his book, chapter 3 of The Prince, Machiavelli made an interesting comment, and I'm paraphrasing this, not from the book. He said, basically, in any government, when fascist criminals begin to show themselves, the government, if it acts quickly and decisively, will be able to put down an end to this kind of activity. But if nothing is done to expose and stop this kind of treason against the people, then one day totalitarian corporate fascism is allowed to continue and grow, then human dignity and freedom will ultimately be lost forever. So I'm breaking all of this down. Basically what he was saying is that when you see something wrong in government, when you see something wrong in your city or in your family, whatever it is, if it's allowed to go on, it will only get worse. It's going to feed on itself and get bigger and bigger until one day you're not going to be able to do anything about it. It's going to be too big. And Winston Churchill went on to say this. He said, if you're not willing to fight for what is right when you can easily win, and you will not, and your victory is sure, you may come to the moment when you will have to fight, and there is no hope for victory. But it's better to fight than to perish as slaves. So basically what I'm saying is that most people want to know the truth about what they want to know. They don't want to know the whole truth. And the whole truth is the entire human society that we have grown up in Western civilization for the past I'd say 2,500 years, has been based on secret societies, secret agreements, all kinds of hidden words and terms to manipulate the people. The Romans in the Roman Empire were famous for doing that. And so this is what I've been trying to do for years, is just wake people up and tell them, go do something you've never done before. Do something really interesting. Go to the library and read a book. Do something important. You know? And so, I don't know if your audience has any questions, because there's so many things I would like to talk about, but no matter what these subjects are that I would like to talk about, it would take an hour or two just to prepare the audience for what I want to say. And we don't have that much time. So if there's any questions in particular, maybe I could entertain some questions.
What? Mary, come on, Mary.
Come on, Mary.
What did he ask me? Questions? Yeah, start forming a line right by Kyle, the sound guy. Jordan, how was your sandwich? That's my first question.
Say it again?
No, okay.
Hi, Jordan. I have a question. I was wondering, how did you go from being a Catholic to being a Jehovah's Witness? How did you get involved with the Jehovah's Witness?
You need to say that again, because...
How did you go from being Catholic to being a Jehovah's Witness? How did you get involved with the Jehovah's Witness Church?
So Jordan, I've asked you this before. There's a lot of people out there that want to know your involvement with the Jehovah's Witness Church. You've told me you are not involved or haven't been involved with the Jehovah's Witness. Can you settle that for us today? After you take a nice drink of water. This is Marco Rubio, not Jordan Maxwell, by the way.
Yeah, all right. And you're sure it's water? I'll drink to that. Yeah, let me tell you something about Jehovah's Witnesses, because I was a Jehovah's Witness for many years. I have always said, and a lot of people have heard me saying, that I am not the world's foremost authority on anything, because I know how much I don't know. But if I were to claim that I was better informed on any subject than a lot of people, and that would be Jehovah's Witnesses. Because I've done a lot of work with Jehovah's Witnesses. I know a lot about them. Not only was I one, but I've had some incredible experiences with Jehovah's Witnesses. For one thing, I was invited to go to live at Bethel and personally asked by two members of the governing body to come to live at Bethel and be in charge of the research department of the Watchtower Bible Tract Society. Even at a very early age, it's like 21, 22, 23 years old. But they had already encountered me and knew my interest in ancient religions and words and terms, etc. And so I was invited to go to New York to be in their research department. At the time, I thought that was very nice. That's a nice, gesture, but I'm not sure that I want to do that. And now, of course, I know why. But we did go to New York when I was married. We went to New York, and I did spend 2 or 3 days at the Watchtower Society, sitting and talking with the elders and the governing body. I can tell you some very interesting things about Jehovah's Witnesses. One is that I think that probably 1/2 of Jehovah's Witnesses around the world are wonderful people, dear and sweet and wonderful people, and I love them. They've always been very courteous and kind, and I know them. That's 1/2. The other half, I'm not sure they know what they're doing. And the elder arrangement, the older men in the congregation, that's very, very, very...
Typical Skype.
You're kidding me, right? Sure, it's the internet connection, not the government of Jehovah's Witnesses.
Wow.
It is our connection, it appears.
So typical Skype, cutting out in the middle of an interview, ladies and gentlemen.
That was really funny timing, it really was.
So they're going to attempt to reconnect, like we do almost every week when we try and use Skype. Albert?
Mel, how many times does this happen for your interviews? All right? This is why he needs to be here, exactly. Exactly. Jordan, for some reason the computer here has shut down our internet service. I know you can see me. Say hello to everybody on my phone. Yeah, it's a great audience, man. Hold on just a second. I'm trying to connect to the internet again. Let's see here. We'll get you up in just a second, all right? He's saying he'll really love to be there. What, you want to talk to him? All right. Show him the audience. Just introduce him to everyone here, will you, Mary? He's going to bring Jordan around to see you. You can shake his hand. Great. Please, too many cooks in the kitchen.
I guess you gotta play down the technical issues.
Yeah. Filler time.
Oh yeah. You should have done that.
I would never have thought I would see Mary Sean Young carrying Jordan Maxwell around.
Who's a Mac user? Come up here.
If you can't figure it out, there's no way I'm going to figure it out.
Who's a Mac user? Seriously, come on up. Somebody's got to be a Mac. Thank you. I think I know what's the problem. Find Safari for me.
What?
It's a Hackintosh.
Stop.
You can blame Mark Passio for the Hackintosh. By the way, the next speaker coming up is going to be really great. So definitely stay involved with him. What?
He's awesome, man.
I know. Wait a second, Jordan.
Well, we're all here because we thought he was
I hope Jim Wise really shows up.
yeah.
Look, the darn hotel shut us down is what happened. Close your eyes, folks. Everybody's coming to my room. Don't look.
Because he's staying in the penthouse, that's why everybody's going over
How many
there.
people do you think are going to show up tonight? Hold on. Upgrade me so this doesn't happen. Purchase, whatever. What a robbery. 2 megabytes, are you kidding me?
That's what I said.
Here. Talk to Mary. Oh, you want to talk to them? Jordan, we gotta hang up and do it. All right. Okay, here we are. As you were saying. All right, we're back. So, let's get some more questions here. The next question, please. You want to hear the end of that? Yeah! All right, so there are good people in the Jehovah's Witness.
Yeah, let me stick with them.
Go for it, sorry.
You're in Philadelphia, aren't you?
Yeah. City of Brotherly Love, yes.
Okay, well, that's the City of Brotherly Love, and that's very heavily connected to Jehovah's Witnesses, but not in the way you think. First of all, the City of Brotherly Love, it does not have anything to do with people loving themselves. No, brotherly love in that context is talking about a Masonic order, Freemasons, they're called brothers. And this is why in Jehovah's Witnesses, the men are called brothers. It's because it's a Masonic organization. It's a quasi-Masonic organization. So when you talk about the City of Brotherly Love, you need to go back and here's something that everybody needs to do. It's for free, and you better do it now while it's free. There's a book that you can get a download for free, an e-book on the web called Fire in the Minds of Men. Fire in the Minds of Men. And if you go on the web to fireinthemindsofmen.pdf, it will pop up automatically and it will download very quickly, automatically. It's an extraordinarily important book that you really have to have because it explains the world in which you are now living in America and around the world, what's actually going on. Let me tell you something about this book. The author is James Billington, Billington, Billington. And James Billington today is the chief librarian for the Library of Congress. So you don't get any better than that. He has a whole chain of PhDs and doctorates from all over the world. The guy is an incredibly brilliant writer and a historian. But what he has done in this book, which is a free download, all you got to do is go to the web and type it in, Fire in the Minds of Men, and it'll download and it will amaze you within this book. He explains how the world works and goes back to 300 to 400 years ago, all these secret societies, fraternal orders, all of the backroom deals that have been made around the world, and how the government is put together, how the religions, Jehovah's Witnesses, the Mormons, Seventh-day Adventists, Worldwide Church of God, Christadelphians, all of these American quasi-Masonic religions that have been developed based on the British Israel World Federation out of London, and the connections with MI5, MI6 to all of these major religions like Mormons and Seventh-day Adventists, as I said, and especially Jehovah's Witnesses. So if you want to understand how the stuff works in religion, you need to get the book Fire in the Minds of Men, because he has broken down all of this dark secret stuff and put it in such plain English anyone can understand it. It's an extraordinary book, and I don't know how in the world that he was able to get this thing published, because it is really an expose on religion and government in the past 400 to 500 years, and how we are, what we are today, where we are, where we're going. So it's an extraordinary story.
Next question, please.
Yes. Say it again.
Hold on one second, Jordan. Here we go.
Yep.
Hi, Jordan. I totally respect you, and you have been part of my awakening process, if not the primary principle behind it. My question is, in your years of research, are there any countries left that are not under the thumb of the controlling class?
So how about that? What countries are left in this new world order?
What countries are left?
Yeah, which ones are not under the controlling thumb? If any.
I would say none. I would say none. I would say every country in the world is too far gone. It's way too far gone. So don't think about where you can go to get away from world tyranny. Ain't gonna happen. It's already here, and it's all locked in. It's been here since 1878. Yeah, 1878, 1879. And by now, it's all over the world. There's nothing we can do. Nothing we can do. Now, I know that people don't want to hear that, but I might as well tell you the truth. I'm like an old grandfather that I guess needs to tell the kids the truth, is that there is no way out of this New World Order. Why? Because it's been going on since 1878. It was actually started back in 1848 with Karl Marx and a group of people in England called the League of Just Men. It's a long story, and a lot of it is in that book I just told you about that you need to get. Get it and read it. But there is no country in the world today that is not under the heel of the New World Order. But there's something you need to know about the New World Order. It's not political as such. It has political connections, but it actually has to do with something far, far more ancient, far more deeper, and it has to do with spiritual connections. We're talking about demonic stuff. We're talking about ancient occult religions connecting humans to extraterrestrial or other world entities. Every religion on the face of the earth, even Buddhism and all of the spiritual practices, all will admit that there is some sort of a spiritual presence on the earth. Christians call them demons, devils, and ghosts. We call them poltergeists, sons of God, spirits, ghosts, whatever you want to call that world that we can't see but is as real as we are. That world has been manipulating and exploiting our human ignorance and stupidity for thousands of years. And that spiritual world is now in total control of the earth. And so it's the time for mankind to wake up to the reality that we are not exactly what you think. Because this calls into question, who are we humans really? Where did we come from? And what is this story going on behind our backs about other world intelligences that we can't see? And if you don't believe things like this exist, go down to Haiti and watch the shaman priests. Go to Brazil, go to South America, Central America, and watch the shaman priests and what they can do. I've seen incredible stuff, which implies that there is a spiritual dynamics and a spiritual presence on the earth that causes mankind to go the way it wants them to go. And most people are so arrogant, proud, arrogant, self-assuming that they have no time to look at anything like this. It's all a bunch of malarkey. Well, in point of fact, it's not. And the people who are running this planet today are heavily involved in the dark side.
Sure.
So, and I think we're all probably waking up to that by now. So it's a spiritual problem we've got.
Absolutely. Next question, please.
Thank you. Hello, Mr. Maxwell. Big fan for a long time, and one of the things that I've always really paid attention when you speak is specifically about courts. When you talk about the justice system and the legal system and whatnot. And I've been studying myself for a long time, and you said something earlier that really struck a chord. I'm not sure so much if this is a question more than a comment, but you said you're at this point you're too old to fight, but you mentioned what Machiavelli said and talked about how if we don't fight for the little things and we let it keep going, it eventually gets out of control and it becomes the way it is. And the first thing that came to mind was municipal courts, for instance. We walk around as these slaves and we're subject to these rules and regulations that are pretty arbitrary and most of the time senseless and ridiculous. And under the threat of deadly force, we're forced to comply and consent whether we like to or not. And so I've recently kind of put some of the things I've learned from you and many other people into action in my own life, and I have the idea that together as a people we can nullify municipal courts, because I see that as one of the biggest obstacles to the human existence and the human condition. So I kind of just want to get your take and your feedback on that. I'll just tell you very quickly, what I did recently was I got pulled over for making a left, for going through a stop sign on my bicycle, a pedal bicycle. And this asshole cop wound up giving me a ticket after I pulled the whole thing, like I'm not going to identify myself, this is ridiculous, and I was very respectful. And so I took some people to court with me, and I think Bob might have seen the video.
Yeah, but you got to bottom line this, but
yeah. So basically, yeah. That's what I wanted to get your take on. That is, if we as a people together kind of put some of that stuff into practice and stand up in these courts and tell them we're no longer going to take their shit. Like, is that going to work?
Can we stand up?
Well, you'll have to translate that for me because I wasn't hearing too much of it.
The courts, taking things to the courts and standing up in that.
Oh yeah, okay. Yeah.
Capacity.
That's one hell of a subject. For myself, I've been talking about this idea of the courts and the whole judicial system for many, many years. I would suggest that right now, at this particular time in America's history, that you, if you get a parking ticket, just pay it. If you get some kind of a little infraction, just pay it. Don't fight anything in court. That's just my opinion. But I would not fight anything in a court anywhere. If a situation is big enough that it's fighting for itself, like my lawsuit, I have a huge lawsuit going on right now with 3 different attorneys defending me. But I would not myself bring anything to a court ever again. So, and the reason why is because the world has changed. Since 9/11, all laws have been changed. That was one of the major reasons why 9/11 had to happen. It had to happen because all the laws needed to be changed for the new world order. All the laws needed to be changed. So after 9/11, nothing works the way it did before. And of course, even before, it was terrible. But now for sure, after 9/11, I would not even walk into a court. I would have nothing to do with it because it is too far gone. And so unless you were Donald Trump and can pay a lot of money to a lot of people, lawyers to fight for you, I've said so many times a court is like playing basketball on a court, playing tennis on a court. How do you play tennis on a court? You play with a racket. So the idea being is that I would not have anything to do with courts anymore. So if you get in trouble, just pay the fine and leave it.
Great.
Just ask for trouble.
Great. Next question, please.
Jordan, we'd all like to thank you for what you do. Quick question. For a group of people like us gathered here, what is the use or function of belief?
What is the use or function of a belief, Jordan?
It's mostly to make people feel secure in themselves, because we humans have to, beliefs basically, especially religious beliefs. I have said in the past, and I think it's true, and I'll say it again, I believe that religious beliefs are like whistling as you're walking through the graveyard.
Next question, please.
About the Greco-Roman world, would you have any advice or suggestions for choosing a topic for a dissertation for somebody who is studying Greek and Latin? Or,
So, for somebody who's studying Greek or Latin, would you have advice for them on a dissertation?
Latin is very important. Both Greek and Latin are very important. No, I just think it's a very good idea to know both Greek and Latin, especially Latin, because all law, all government, all of our systems of religion, government, banking, the whole system is based on Latin. And but when you talk about Latin, Latin was the name for the planet Saturn. Thousands of years ago, the planet Saturn was called Latin. That's a very interesting, that's a whole story in itself about the planet Saturn and how it dominates our everyday world, and how Latin is the basis for so much of our institutional education and laws and banking and everything else. So Latin is very important.
Next question, please.
Yes, Jordan, you have said before that people have come to you and said things like, we're going to murder you if you don't shut up. Is that understood? And I hate to bring this up and all, but you say you live in fear and all that, but I have spoken to people that have like blown the whistle on things and exposed corruption and such, and they haven't been threatened. And I ask them why. And they say, well, because I make it clear to the powers that be that I'm not going to give in, and I basically tell them, I don't care how much you threaten me, I'm not going to shut up, you're going to have to kill me and all, to make me shut up. So would it be fair to assume that if you and all the other people who have gotten threatened were to actually make it clear, listen, I'm not going to shut up, you're not going to stop me, I'm going to fight to the death, they're not going to threaten us anymore?
Jordan, are you suicidal?
Hey, other people did say that they aren't getting threatened because they made it clear they're not going to give in.
I'm joking. Thank you. Jordan, what do you think? Is there information that you're holding back on that maybe if you were to put out there would protect you by putting it out there? Because if they were to come after you and kill you at that point, it would only validate some of your claims and some of your research.
Oh, absolutely. No doubt about it. But you see, I'm not interested in being killed, so I'm not even going to...
Okay, fair enough. Next question, please.
Yeah, Jordan, can you tell us what the status is with Joe Dolezal, if you resolve that, and where can we get the real Jordan Maxwell material online?
All right, so people want to know your website was stolen, they were usurping your name, you're in the lawsuits. Kind of just real briefly bring us up to speed with that.
Yeah, I was 70 years old, and I lost my my webmaster was a real criminal, and so I finally got rid of him. It took a long time, but I finally got rid of him. And so but now I'm 70 years old. I don't know anything about the technology of today. I just do what I do. And so a young man comes along and comes to visit me, and he sees that I'm living in one room with nothing. And I tell him about my situation with my website being stolen, and I finally got it back. So he said, oh my God, he said, I just love what you're doing. Let me help you. I'll take care of it for you. So I needed somebody. 70 years old, I don't know anything about the technology, so I said, okay, would you help me, and I'll give you 50% of the gross of any money that I make on my work. I'll give you 50% of the gross if you'll just help me. Oh, absolutely, no problem at all. I'll take care of that. And so, in order for him to be my webmaster, I had to give him the username and the password. Well, I've discovered that when you do that, you have just might as well put a gun to your head, because you've now given the secret to your website, to your bank account, to your email, to everything you have worked for. You just gave it to somebody you don't know who came in off the street. Then I found out, after giving him the codes to my website, he went in quietly behind my back, 70 years old, I didn't know, and changed the ownership of my website to himself. And then he redirected my bank account to his bank account. Then he redirected my emails to himself. So that now he, for the past 5 years, has made every dime, every nickel comes to my website, goes to his private bank account. Every private email coming to me from all over the world for 5 years has gone directly to him. And he answers my emails as if he's me, and asks for money, he asks for donations, he's selling my products, and so he's stolen everything. He's copyrighted all of my work. So the bottom line on this is very simple. Everything I own has been stolen from me by a ponytail criminal with a crime record a mile long. I didn't know that. I just trusted him as a young man. Now I know I made a very bad mistake, and so he's taken everything I own and left me with nothing.
And they want to know. They want to know this criminal's name.
Oh, Joseph Joe Dolezal. Dolezal. Dolezal.
He just got more publicity than I think he needed, but okay.
Well, I was saying that the whole family is from the Czech Republic.
I looked into it. Yeah.
Yeah, and so
and he's got
they
a
are
son
criminals.
or something, or they got the father. They're all criminals. I looked into it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, and so I found out now that there's nothing I can do about it because the courts tell me. They say, look at. Did you give him the username and the password? Yes, I did. Sorry, that's it. You lost.
Awesome. Well, not so awesome. Next question, please.
Was there a way to get the stuff through Jordan?
Next question, please.
All right, Jordan. I recently heard you on another podcast, and you mentioned for people to look up the word capital and how their heads will be blown away by what they find, like capital as in capitalism, capitalists, all these people that still think that a different way of money is the way to go. Can you hint at what you were referring to with people looking into capital?
Break down the word capital for us, please, Jordan.
Well, there are two ways of spelling capital. So what are you asking?
Well, when we heard capital as in money, C-A-P-I-T-O-L. Did I spell that right? I hope so. Did I spell it wrong?
Yeah, there's capital in relation to money, and there's capital in relation to the head of a government. Yeah. So what about it? What do you want to know about the word capital?
Well, what's the background of the word? I guess he heard your podcast and you mentioned that the true meaning of it is mind-boggling.
Oh yeah, well, I mean, the whole subject is mind-boggling because you are capital. You yourself. You know, most people don't realize the way commerce works in the world. And I know you probably have heard it all, but there's a lot of people who haven't. And so you're by law right now, every single person in this country is a corporation. It's a company. And therefore, you're in business. And that's a whole story, and I've done it so many times, I'm sure nobody wants to hear it again. But you are a corporation, and so that's why if I see you with some girl, I one night I tell you the next day, you know, the girl you were with last night, she's bad company. And you say, mind your own business. Business, company? Yeah. And then I find out you're going to get married, so she's going to be your partner, business, company. We're talking commerce. Look up the word commerce in a law dictionary. Commerce has nothing to do. The first understanding of commerce goes back to the Latin. Commerce is sex, period. Spelled S-E-X. That's commerce in law. And so that's why you opening up a whole can of worms when you get into banking and commerce and marriage. You know, a marriage is simply two corporations doing business together. Of course, it's none of my business, but it's business. And if your business does not work out, you know, a lot of times businesses get together and it don't work out. Well, if it don't work out, your business with the woman you're married, that's your business, not my business. But you're not going to go to God. You're going to go to court and bring your money and your house and your car. It has nothing to do with God, nothing to do with love. We're talking business. So once you understand that everything you do is commerce, did you know, for instance, that all laws, all crime, I should say, petty crime, federal crime, state crimes, commercial crime, it doesn't matter. If it's a crime of any kind, it's called by law commerce. It's a business. And therefore, every crime, there's a book that judges get. I don't have one. It's very difficult to find one. But there's a book that all judges have that will tell you, I've seen the book before, I wish I had it, that will tell you every crime that a human can make, what level, if it's federal, state, county, whatever, and that each one of those crimes carries a charge. This is why you're going into court, you're going to be charged with something. Well, that's what you do with a credit card. You charge something with a credit card, and therefore you got to pay. Well, that's right, you got to pay your debt to society. You've been charged. And so every crime is, in fact of law, is commerce. It's a business, and you can take recordings and digital recordings. We can record
Sorry
a
about
person.
that. Don't know how long it was
every,
out. Somebody
put
unplugged
it on you,
the recorder and the mic. But
and
we're
play it
back.
back
Sorry you
100 years
missed that
from
part.
today, and you look just as real as when you
Can't
were there.
wait for your conference
So
for
I'm saying
Jordan
that if we
Maxwell
can
speaking right
record
now, taking questions from the
digitally
audience.
perfectly everything you say and do, the look on your face, etc., and play it back 100 years, who is to say that there are not spirit entities, angels, demons, whatever you want to call them, that were around 1,000 years ago, and they know exactly what was going on in minute detail, then they have some kind of a way that they can tap into your spirit, because your brain is simply an electrical computer. Your body is a bioelectrical battery, and your brain is a computer. So we know that we have things called Wi-Fi. You don't have to even plug into a computer to be able to to connect with it. So I'm saying that there's at least a possibility that there are spirit entities who were there, 1,000 years ago and saw something and are now putting it into your mouth. They're speaking through you. And you are telling people something that's true, but you weren't there. Somebody else was there, and they're playing you for a fool. They're using you as a tool, and so they're putting it into your mind to say things. And so, again, I would say not necessarily were you there. So, what are we talking about when we talk about reincarnation? I'm not really sure, but I do know this: that if you want to look at the Bible is filled with reincarnation, especially the New Testament. Is replete with stuff about reincarnation. So if you want to follow the teachings of Jesus, well, then you're going to believe in reincarnation. I mean, Jesus himself was reincarnated, right? If he came back from the dead, and he sat and had dinner with people and talked with them, and and walked around town and said hello to everybody. Well, he was dead, a week ago, and now he's back here now. Well, what do you call that? Oh, well, that's resurrection. No, it's reincarnation, airhead.
I've never thought about it that way. That's fascinating. All right, Jordan, we're almost out of time, and we're going to do 3 last quick questions, rapid fire style. We'll start with you. Go ahead.
Rapid fire, it's a 2-part question. One is, can we go back to the etymology of select and elect? Because I don't think we got that from you. And is there somewhere we can go to find your work that the monies would go directly to you rather than to the thief?
All right, so select and elect, the etymology behind that, and the...
Say that again.
What's the real website? Let's tackle that. What's the
website?
website?
Okay. My real website now is Jordan Maxwell Show, SHOW. Very simple. JordanMaxwellShow.com. And let me take a moment to tell you that when you go on JordanMaxwellShow.com, I have a new website connected to it, and it's called Research Society. So if you click on Research Society, there's a button there. You can join my Research Society, because the Jordan Maxwell Show is just a podcast. But on that podcast, I have a new research website in which I am now downloading all of my research into this Research Society website. Why? Because lawyers have told me, and this is important for you to know too, lawyers have explained to me that there is a public and private venue in this world. And when you are speaking to the public, you're in public venue, you can be you can be arrested, you can be put in jail for what you say in public. But if you are in private, like if you have an organization, if you're in the Ku Klux Klan and you are having a private meeting, Well, I've got the presentation in my computer. I've been working on it for 50 years. I've got it done. It's just that it's taking so long because I don't have the funds to do anything with. Kids stole my money, so I don't have the funds to do it right. Hopefully I'll be able to put it together